Hey there, Giant fans of fun. It's Thad, the theme park giant, and today, St. Patty's Day, we're a little green, but I wanted to come have some friends staying at the Deluxe Resort, and they put me on the reservation, and I wanted to see how the early entry works for the Guardians of the Galaxy standby line, especially now that we're into the spring break time. It is March 17th, so we are into the spring break season. I want to see with the bigger crowds how well it's working, and I've never done the early entry with it because I'm a local. So come along, we'll check it all out. Let's go have a giant day of fun. So if you are a guest of one of the Deluxe resorts, you get the early entry, and out front of Spaceship Earth here, there is a sign directing you to go to the right. There are a lot of people here today. It's about 8:20, so about 10 minutes till they let the crowd loose. And then I'll check your magic band here.
How many?
One.
How many?
And that's it. We're in. Now I did see, my friends are already here. They're way ahead, and I told them just to go ahead because I believe this is the Guardians line over here on the left. So we'll see. It is 8:25, and they just texted me that they are being released up front, so I guess we'll see what happens here. So I was wrong. Luckily, someone in line told me I was the Guardians line. I thought that was the end I walked up on. I didn't realize it wraps around here. So I have to walk all the way up here and get in line, and then it's going to wrap around Spaceship Earth. Ooh, it's going to be a long wait, I think. Welcome to spring break. Okay, so we have found the end of the line here. We're going to walk back towards Spaceship Earth, and then you can see the line off here to the right is moving. All right, should be a good test today. The line just kind of naturally worked its way back up here towards the kind of center courtyard area, so still curious how full the queue is going to be when we get over there. Been in line a little over 9 minutes here. We are just getting over by the Connections Cafe. The line is not really moving. Usually you're kind of constantly walking in the Guardians standby queue, but it's very busy. And there's the normal park guests lined up waiting for the 9 a.m. rope drop. This is going to be an interesting one today. So just a warning, if you're used to kind of cutting through Connections or using that restroom in there, that area is all blocked off, so you cannot go in there. They're sending people out, but just in case you think you're going to stand in line and duck in there and come back out, they're not allowing it, so make sure you use a restroom. Been in line about 13 minutes, and we can actually see the show building for the ride for the first time, and a lot of temporary queues set up out front on both sides of the ship. I've only seen the one side typically. My friends are much further ahead. They said they haven't stopped moving yet, so at least hopefully the queue is not filling up quite yet. After about 16 minutes, we are officially in the line. It starts here. And I mentioned it earlier, but here are the extra lines they set up over here. Usually they've got the switchbacks on the left side of the ship, but I've never seen both sides. They are expecting a crowd today. I have been admittedly a big fan of the virtual queue at Disney World. I know a lot of people don't like it, and I was very unhappy when they made the switch to take Guardians off of the virtual queue, but in all honesty, I think it's worked really well the last month. I've done rope drop, standby 3 different times, and never waited more than, I think, about 40 minutes. So it's not the nightmare I thought it was going to be, but I've also always said it wasn't as busy during these times, so I'm curious now with more of a peak season like spring break happening, what it's going to be like. We're actually moving quite a bit now that we're in the line, so hopefully it's not too bad. It just takes a while to fill all these queues up, I think, and you just kind of walk and walk and walk. And after 22 minutes, we are entering the actual queue for the first time, none of the temporaries, and it says 2 hours. I would guess for people at the back of this line, it is 2 hours. It's actually moving pretty well though. No lightning lanes this early really helps. They just opened up some of the other queues over here under the umbrellas off to the left of the entrance, and then you're gonna also walk way back there, kind of in the backstage area, but they've got this process down to a science already. It's pretty efficient. It is kind of crazy just to see people moving everywhere, all these temporary queues, and like no one has stopped. It's just constant walking. And this is still just the early intro Deluxe resort crowd. So we're about 10 minutes away from actual rope drop. A lot more people getting in line. After about 30 minutes here, we're finally starting to slow down and actually get into a line. So from here, it's probably 45 minutes or so. So, probably be total about an hour and 15 minutes for me by the time I get to the first pre-show. I cannot imagine what the normal park guests are gonna wait this morning. Okay, 32 minutes and I'm walking into the building, and most of the Deluxe crowd has worked their way into the queue as well. The rush of normal day guests will be arriving in a couple minutes. Way off in the distance you can see they let the normal day guests in, and it's just a huge line of people walking. One thing you realize about the Guardians attraction is just how efficient it is. It is an absolute people eater. The line just constantly moves with the 2 loading stations and like launches about every 30 seconds. This has got to be one of the highest capacity rides on property, and it is just kicking butt this morning. And after just about 50 minutes, we're in the final little room here before the pre-shows. I think we're going to get on. Hopefully.
Why not? I am absolutely thrilled.
I don't want to wait another 3 or 4 minutes if I don't have to. One? All right, we're in. They are jamming people into the first pre-show here. I don't think I've ever seen it this full. Although in the morning, the station does empty out a lot quicker, so it makes sense to jam it full, because a lot of times you walk in there and there's just basically no one waiting to get on the actual ride. So they probably learn.
People of EPCOT, EPCOTers, EPCOTians, citizens of EPCOT. Does anyone know what they call themselves? What? I'm on? Someone needs to tell me what I'm on. You made it. I mean, of course you did. Nova Prime, they're ready. Excellent.
Easily the best improvement they've made. Put that little temporary stanchion out, and it forces the crowd control to be so much better in this hallway. So much less shoving and, well, not shoving, but just getting cramped in this tiny hallway that gets smaller and smaller as you go. I made the comment earlier that I think they're jamming the pre-shows full of people because the station's probably not filled this early in the morning, and I think that's exactly what's going on. Because usually you're backed up into that hallway and everybody's just walking right down. When I first walked in here, they didn't even have the like queues to fill the train with people in them yet. So seems like they're figuring it out to be a little more efficient in the morning. Okay, just a little over an hour from the time I got in the actual line over by Spaceship Earth to when I'm about to get put on the train. So for spring break, I guess not terrible, but do not expect to just come walk on. My friends, they said they got to the park about 7:45 and they got off the ride a little after 9. So they waited a little over 30 minutes by the time, you know, the 8:30 early entry window actually began. So just a heads up on that stuff. When it is busier, it's gonna be busy.
Okay, they're headed for the jump point. This plane is never gonna work.
Rocket!
Well,
Okay, I've locked onto your vehicles.
We'll be right behind you.
nothing to worry about.
Unless we cannot stop this unusually large man, then you're likely doomed.
Tracks.
Good luck!
It was useless to follow me. What is that noise?
Noise? No one's gonna stop rock and roll from existing.
What have we done?
I think we jumped back.
So I got my ride. Just gonna do a quick check here. It took me just over an hour from the time I actually got onto it. And they are saying 90 minutes now for standby. So the initial rope drop crowd has made its way over here. And they are filling up quite a few of these outdoor kind of permanent queues over here for the overflow. And I would say it's probably around 90 minutes. So, all right, giant fans of fun, that's gonna do it for today. I had a lot of people asking on my last Guardian standby video about the early entry and how it worked. Unfortunately, I still don't know how well it works from the back entrance of EPCOT. You know, I'm guessing you get to come basically up to the World Showcase area like they used to do, but maybe some other time I'll get to try that entrance. But for now, I would say during a busier time like this, it is a huge advantage to have that early entry because, like, I got here a little later than I expected. Like I said, my friends got to the park around 7:45 and they were on and off the ride within just a little over a half hour. Since I got here about 25 minutes later than them, I was way further back in line, but by the time I got to the actual ride, it was an hour. To the pre-show was about 45 minutes. So I would say that's pretty good based on we're in one of the most peak seasons right now with spring break. So Disney's done a really good job with the standby crowd control in the mornings, and I have to say I think it's a success. You know, even waiting an hour is a long time, but with crowds like this, you know, that's going to be over 90 minutes most of the day. So, good job, Disney. If you have any other questions about the standby here for Guardians of the Galaxy at EPCOT, put it in the comments. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Give that video a like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time. Get out there and make it a giant day of fun.